walking around here in like the American flag, like onesie. Yeah, and then I don't know why they didn't. It wouldn't be for that. So, what's the on? Think so? Yeah, that's right. I don't know. I can't ever tell.
All right. I think we're ready. I think we're ready. I think we're ready to go.
So like, this is on.
Welcome, everybody. If you guys are here for the panel, please take your seats. We will be starting in just a second.
Ag.
Down. Yes, sir. Super close.
Right up on it.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Next Gen panel. My name is Mike. I run the Mr. Guns and Gear channel. I will be hosting this panel. For those who don't know, we want your interaction, your question during these panels for all of our panelists. So there is a microphone right over there to my left, your right, and you're more than welcome to get in line and ask your question when it comes up. However, before we do that, what I want to do is have all the panelists introduce themselves, because I realize some of you may not know them or their content, and let us know where you're, or rather, what platform you have the biggest following on as well. So go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is Amber G. Johnson. I'm the founder of Gale's Futuristic Fire, and I am primarily on Instagram.
Hey everyone, my name's Zach. I'm with Tactical Advisor, and I do YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, Rumble, Livestream, a lot of other channels.
Mike from Tactical Considerations, all the same social medias everybody else is on.
Same, Luke C. from TFB TV and TFB TV Showtime.
Good afternoon. My name is Gamage, but I also, thank you, I also identify as KD. Kevin Dixie.
We'll allow that. All right. So once again, guys, inviting you guys to come up, ask questions, get in line. We want it to be a two-way street. However, before we do that, for those of you guys on this panel, most of you are relatively new to the social media space. So with that, if one of these people out in the audience wanted to jump into the two-way Second Amendment space, what would your advice be for them? Not all at once.
I'll take this one. I started off a little different. Like I started competitively shooting back in 2010, 2011, 2012. Got heavily into it and just took it from being a hobby, like something I could do with my normal day job and support it, to really just putting out like what I wanted to share with other people. So I think the best way to start out is just to be passionate about it. If it's really what you want to do, if you're a nerd about it like I am, like all these guys are, that's really where you should start. Find the passion first.
I would add on to that and say, if you're just starting out and you want to do anything that you've seen, similar, well, not similar, but exactly what he said, just start ugly. Like, stop worrying about what equipment you have right now. Stop worrying about what you don't have. Focus on the things that you do have right in front of you and just start. Like, record the video, post it, evaluate it, post another one, evaluate it, and then just keep growing from there.
Make sure you guys are doing what you enjoy. You know, don't do what you think other people want to see. That the people see right through that. Do what you enjoy, and then build it from there.
I'll echo on that. You don't have to look like everyone else. If you have, interest in arts and crafts and firearms too, you can make a channel about that. You don't have to necessarily try to copy what you see, because there's room for everybody.
My advice would be to come up with something a little bit different than everybody else does, if this mic is going to continue working or not, and just go ahead and put a video out. You'll find that the audience will mostly be pretty generous when you're getting started, and then as you kind of get a little better and better, you might get some feedback that you don't like.
Yeah.
But that's because the audience wants your channel to be better, because they're probably enjoying watching it as a point. So take that audience feedback and put it to work immediately when you start to get it.
Sure.
All right. With that, I realized I am a bad host, and I did not acknowledge our live audience. So we have a huge live audience going on right now. If you guys are in the audience and you have questions for the panelists, make sure you comment underneath this video. Let us know what your questions are. Again, encourage everyone to come up, ask a question. That microphone is looking very lonely. All right, we have one.
I'm always the first. Here I am. I would like each of the panelists to tell me what was the moment in your life that made you go, I'm passionate about the Second Amendment and I want to represent it and I want to bring it to people that don't know about it.
Yep. Okay, all right. The moment I would say that I was passionate about the 2A was after I spent years of doing illegal work with firearms and me actually just turning my life around, becoming legal in everything else that I did. I then knew that it was capable to do firearms and then do it from an educational standpoint, building it around the right that we actually have to do it. So I don't know if that was in college or post-college, but I do know there was a switch in me that said, you no longer have to do this in this manner. You are now capable of doing it in this manner. And from there on, it's been on and popping.
To add on to that, I would say like that's definitely probably where it started for me, Gamage. I think that's kind of like what kicked me off. But really, I'm sure all of you in the audience probably knows, being gun owners, the sheer amount of misinformation that is out there about guns, about our community, about the people that we are. Just talking to one of my neighbors, I used to live in Memphis, Tennessee, and we had a rash of shootings in the city. And I had a couple neighbors come to me and ask like, hey, you own a bunch of guns. Can you take me to the range? Can you teach me how to shoot? And that's the instant I noticed that like, hey, there's a market, not a market, but like there's a very desperate need for people to have not just information about firearms and accessories, but the correct information. And that's what I can offer because you and I, we touch this stuff every day, all the time.
Yeah, so for me, between the military and law enforcement, I was always known as the gun guy. I gotta switch mics. Give me yours. So being known as the gun guy, I just got question after question, and I figured at some point I was dared by another friend of mine, like, hey, why don't you just put this out on YouTube? Okay, I'll give it a shot. And I started filming on my cell phone with a cheap microphone, and it worked out, 6, 7 years later. So it was really just to fill the gap of, since I was answering so many questions to the people I worked with, why not just try and answer those for everybody and just kind of help the community out, figure out what works for them, what are they using it for, whether it's duty, military stuff, civilian use, because there's all different categories out there, and bridge that gap to meet people's price points and needs.
A lot of mine is really similar to these gentlemen here, but a little bit different as well. As when I started having kids, I really wanted to allow them to have the same opportunities I have now in the future. And I also want them to be able to have firearm safety, and I think that's really important to teach that stuff. So that really got me even more interested as I started having children. They got older, they got more interested, and I want to continue to push that as well.
Yeah, so I personally, my daddy introduced me into firearms ownership as a kid with a BB in our backyard. So I come from a family of people that hunt, so there was a respect that was there. But when I started working in the industry in sales, right when I started grad school, there were a lot of conversations with women that came onto the range asking, okay, which firearm should I get? How should I, what type of clothes could I wear? And I'm having this constant conversation like, you don't have to really change how you dress. Maybe you can change the size of, your skirt or your pants. And there's different accessories you can invest into, but you don't have to necessarily give up style. So I had enough conversations like that as an RSO on the range, and then of course on social media, and I realized like, maybe I should be using my platform for this, and I did, and it kind of took off. So now I'm just being a little bit more vocal about my passions for ensuring that everyone has the opportunity to carry.
Excellent, thank y'all. Next question.
YouTube's getting a lot harder for content creators to work within the rules since they're ever changing. What are you guys finding that you're having to do to work within those rules, or how are you working around them in such a challenging environment which changes from one day to the next?
I got that one. I'll take that one. So YouTube consistently changes the rules like in ghost form. They won't even update you sometimes. But the YouTube terms of conditions are different based on terms of service, and then you have monetization standards, which are more stringent. Unfortunately, it's kind of written like federal law, and really nobody can understand it, and then it's still up to interpretation by the YouTube people. What I can tell you is you just need to go through those probably monthly and read the specific firearms related one, because they update it and don't tell you. And if you know the rules better than the people watching your video at YouTube to monetize it or take it down or strike it, you can appeal that process. Ultimately, YouTube does have the final say. It's just like federal law. You have to know the law better than the person trying to enforce it. You can not break a law. It's the same kind of concept. Yeah.
I would actually add on to that you need to, as you know, we talked about this a little bit amongst ourselves. We're all kind of small businesses. You know, we're all independent content creators. So you, being as small as we are, we have the amazing ability to pivot almost as fast as YouTube changes those laws. And the sad answer is, I think the best practice is to just put in a lot of hard work, making sure you're paying attention to what YouTube is doing to your videos, and secondarily, being proactive about that kind of stuff. Like maybe you were anticipating that YouTube's gonna start like logging on our videos a lot more. We should probably change what we're doing to accommodate for that. Because just like Mike said, just like laws, they're written kind of to be vague, but at the same time, we have to follow those laws, right? We don't get a choice. And so we got to play by those. If we're gonna have to play by those rules, let's learn those rules.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I personally am not on YouTube because the algorithm is bullying me without even completing a profile. You know, they delete a lot of larger accounts' videos daily. So when you see other larger creators get their stuff taken down, it kind of makes you feel kind of nervous about even building a platform. So you spend a lot of time in the ideation phase, which is where I am. And I think what's good is that it opens up for a new generation of creators to get more consistent with the creative ways that we can talk about firearms ownership on the platforms, while also navigating how the algorithms ebb and flow.
All right, and before we get to the next question here in person, again, I want to invite everyone, if you have a question of any kind, what their favorite gun is, whatever the case may be, come on up and ask it. Do we have any questions from the audience watching live?
Yeah, we got one in here that's kind of specific, but if any of y'all know about college shooting clubs, what's stopping young people from starting their own college gun clubs? Age is not an issue as it is in high school. Quite specific.
Did you ask what's stopping them?
What's stopping, yeah.
I would argue that nothing is stopping them. I mean, you've got 4-H shooting sports programs. Like if you're trying to be technical, those are all consistent of young adult shooting sports opportunities. And I mean, if you're 18, you can go to a USPSA match or anything at a local range and sign up. So I guess I'm misunderstanding the question of what's stopping them.
I think you nailed it. Nothing.
Okay.
I don't think there is anything this
Okay.
time. So it's almost like what y'all are saying. They just have to
Make them tell you no.
What did you say? I don't think they
Make them
heard
tell you no.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, do I have to turn this on? Okay. Since most of you are kind of up and coming in the industry and people are here to get to know you, can you let us know, like, what you feel like your particular area of expertise is? Is it gun reviews? Is it the legal aspect? You probably obviously have a soft spot toward women, but like, what do you feel like you've put your 10,000 hours in to become experts on?
Not all at once.
I'll go down here. Oh, I'll start from right here.
Perfect.
The area that I would say that I specialize in is providing security for houses of worship, making sure that parishions and churches in the local community, older gentlemen on their deacon boards, pastors, the houses of worship are protected and individuals are brought up to code on what the house should have. Individual skill sets are in place to actually be able to not just deter a threat, but eliminate a threat in the event of. If that was an area of box checking, I would check that box.
I would say personally, and as an extension of TFB TV, that we really specialize in, we've developed a lot of relationships both inside and outside the industry, not just on the manufacturing and production side, but we also have access at TFB TV to a lot of subject matter experts at the FBI, the ATF, all sorts of organizations that guns is not just like their right, but it is their job, right? They have to have guns. And so with those two sides of the sphere combined together, we're able to take new products and as shooters, shoot them, put high round counts through them, beat them up, try to find where the wheels start coming off the track, and then give that to our subject matter experts, and then find out where those two meet in the middle for the end user, for the customer, and find out whether or not it's of good value to you, and if it is of good value, whether or not you should actually go and buy it.
Yeah, for me, I was fortunate enough to spend most of my life in a uniform, whether it was in the military or law enforcement. So got to do some initial testing of products that later came to the global war on terror and things like that. So I learned what would be like a destructive schedule testing, how to basically push things to their limits, find out the failure points, break them, and kind of carried that through life. And ultimately, the experience just gave me, one, some fun, because who doesn't want to try new toys and break them? But also it gave me a skill set, having access to the people I did, to be able to share that information with everybody after doing those testing processes. So having spent most of my life doing that, it was just something that I enjoyed, loved, and get to share now all over the media. So.
If I were to choose one, I would say I do reviews of tools and gears to be able to protect yourself and your family. Would be the primary, but it's really branched off since there and going off to really a lot of things that I just enjoy, doing things that I'm passionate about and sharing that with my viewers.
I'd say, I guess I've had a lot of time to think about this, huh? I'd say I'd put my 10,000 hours in handgun safety. I know it like the back of my hand, and I've been teaching and instructing folks on the range for a good minute now. I won't tell you my age, but 7 years of handgun one-on-one is a really good, I'd say about 10,000 hours, and that's where my passion is for all platforms.
Awesome. All right, next question.
Hello. My question is, what event regarding this, apologies, what event regarding the Second Amendment in your lifetimes would be the most surprising in either a positive or negative way? Sure.
Seeing Tiger Stripe in GUNCON in its full glory. I love your outfit, man.
Apologies. What event regarding the Second Amendment would you consider the most surprising in either a positive or negative way?
It's a really good one.
Well, I'll fill the silence. I most recently experienced Kevin Dixie's Train and Learn, which happens every Memorial Day weekend. I believe I'm quoting that correctly. But I found it to be one of the most diverse rooms as far as speakers and students that I've ever been in a 2A space. Most spaces look just like this. The train and learn space as an opportunity for manufacturers, distributors, and all types of talent all over the spectrum of platforms to get together and learn and also train together. So I wouldn't even say that I was surprised, but I was definitely blown away at the diversity of support of what he's doing out in Greenwood.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I don't know if I would isolate it to just one gun event, because I attend probably like 5 or 6 of these a year. What I am consistently surprised and impressed with is the level of knowledge of the average gun owner now versus 5, 10 years ago even. There's a lot of information out there, and it just demonstrates that all of you are very, not just interested, but passionate about it. You're willing to go through the trouble of teaching yourself the specifications, the pros and cons of everything. And to me, that's reaffirming, because it means that all of us, at our level, that we're doing our job to help give that information to you, so you can make more informed decisions.
I thank you for it.
I got one. Another one would be every February 2/22, Brownells host their annual 2A Day, and it's usually held across the country at different local gun clubs and things like that. Many don't know about them, but if you were to go on the website, you can see the different gun clubs around either your state or your city that's hosting a 2A Day, and Brownells puts that on for the community, for the 2A community, for us to come out. They normally sponsor food, ammo, and all of that for that day for individuals to come out, get to know other individuals that are supporting and fighting for the Second Amendment, as well as shoot together and build a community that's around you. So that's one for me, 2A Day.
Yeah, for me, the one thing probably over the past 10 years, it's a little bit of a negative, but a PSA kind of thing, is please vet your instructors. I think we've all probably seen just a very large growth of very poor instructors that have been certified somehow, and they don't really teach safe. We've all seen probably YouTube videos where an instructor's literally pointing a gun at a student or something. That's disturbing for me, you know, having carried a gun for a living most of my life in defense, is please vet instructors, please find good instructors in your area, and don't ever think that you don't need further instruction, because every single one of us does, right? We always need a tune-up on something. Maybe there's a new technique, something works, but that'd be the one thing that I would say is a little bit of a bad thing right now that I've seen kind of explode in the 2A.
Well, thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up, oh, did you have something to add? No? Okay. Next question, sir.
I'm going to go completely the different direction.
Perfect.
We need a little comedy. The world runs on batteries. What is your funniest story of the batteries died?
That's easy for me. I was doing a drill, running, night vision, battery dies, and I about died shortly after when I augured into the earth. Thought I had broke my brand new N3 white tubes, you know, $14,000 night vision. I just biffed it, rolled around, and everybody's laughing at me. So change your batteries often.
Literally earlier, I was just sharing this story. I was filming a video to send to Gideon about the Judge XL. I would bring it up to present, and the dot would go out, and I would shake it, and the dot would come on. So I pulled out my phone, and I'm videoing myself shaking this gun, telling them, hey, see what's happening with the battery, or with the optic, it's not. And I just, let me take the battery out and check it. That's usually a battery issue. Wrong size battery. So the freaking battery just kept rocking in the tray at different moments. And so I did not send the video to Gideon, but I have it on my phone if anybody wants to see it.
Mine's fairly short, and I'm sure most of you can figure out who made the battery, but I've actually had an 18650 size battery cook off inside of a very small flashlight that I used to own years ago. That's probably my worst battery experience ever. I'm sure you could all guess who the company is, though, so I'm not going to tell you.
Earlier in my career doing YouTube and testing and evaluating products, the amount of times I would reach out to a company about their optic or product not working, and then they just tell me to check the battery, and end up being that. Check the batteries a lot more now before I reach out to a company.
All right, thank you for that. Do we have anything from the web? No? All right, nothing up next. Go ahead, sir.
Sorry, I have to do that. Mine is a two-part question. How many of you do content full-time? And those of you that do, at what point in your life did you decide to do that? What pushed you there? Because I do content, but I can't do that yet because of my job. But I have a passion to do it, and I'm trying to figure out when can I do that. I got a lot of friends here. They want more from me, but I have a family and a job, and so inspire me.
Well, always take care of your family first. Right? Yeah. Without your family structure and friends, it's not worth it. Make clear to your family that you're going to be spending time on an extracurricular activity. I know this from having done this the wrong way with my wife and still being a full-time cop. I do it full-time now. I am retired. And there is a time when you'll face a decision financially where you can and can't do it. And sometimes you just got to leap off that cliff and be like, I think this is worth a shot, because you can always find another job. Right? You have a skill, somebody needs that service and that can be accomplished. It took me probably 6 years, I think, before I was able to finally leave my day job and then just go do this from now on.
I do this part-time right now. I'm full-time law enforcement. I do fire and EMS as well. And you can ask my wife. It is very quickly becoming a full-time job doing content creation. I'm in that position right now trying to figure out when that right time is. Leaning a lot on my family. On obviously, I have to have insurance for my children and my wife and a retirement and things in place, but being able to also rely on God and being open to His plan as well, for me is a big thing. And praying and making sure it's His time and not what I want to do, but what He wants for me and for this channel and this business.
All right, I'll answer this one as well. I think it's a good question. So, time-wise, it took me about 6 to 8 years to get on the edge of making the transition, building the business, building revenue streams, etc. And I definitely took a leap, 100%. There was I basically had about a year to make it work, and if not, I had to go back to work. You know what I mean? So I think for most of us, outside of like Mike retiring formally from a police department or something like that, there's going to be that transitionary gap, if you will. And when to take that leap is just going to depend on the needs of your family and all those sorts of things, right? Everyone's situation is different. But yeah, it took me about 6, 8 years, somewhere in that range. And now I do it obviously full time. And it's awesome. It worked out. I gambled on myself, and it paid off.
Another thing to pay attention to is it's like most of us love doing what we do, but it is a lot of work. And a lot of people think, oh, it must be nice to get this, this, and this. John, who puts this event on, I don't think has literally slept more than about 2 or 3 hours in 3 days. And like, be prepared for that work. But if you like it and you love it, it really is. You're your own boss. You get to do what you want. And you get to do on your timeline. You've got to make sure that you can budget time up front until you get to that point where you can pivot.
And if I could, I'll answer the question, Jay, because I follow you on all of your channels. I happen to like you a lot. One of the things that I would say, almost to answer your question in like a flip way, I would speak to the person that does content creation part-time, because I do it part-time. To all of the influencers in front of me who mentioned about the work that it takes to get us to that full-time level, I would say that doing it part-time feels full-time because of the amount of work that it takes to do things. But even in that, I don't have that time. Like so my heart goes out to making sure, even from those of us who do it part-time, to support those who do it full-time even more, because of what we know them on the Second Amendment side doing and it being full-time for them. Another reason or another incentive for us to make sure that we're supporting them. But for us, just know whether or not you are at that point. For me, I'm a part-time person, and I make sure to keep it in that compartment, because if not, I'll then begin to stress myself and want to do more when I can't.
Yeah, and I'll add that I like your content, and I think you're unique enough to do it full time. It's just a matter of you being organized, have a plan, yeah. And stuff like this, choose to go every other year, you know?
Awesome, thank you very much. Next gentleman, please step up.
I know we had some questions about people who are curious about getting started into YouTube. I have a small channel myself, and I do content. And I know I've had moments where I've just kind of been like, maybe I just got to give this up. It's not working. What are some moments where you've kind of encountered that, where you thought maybe, they've took down my stuff, they've demonetized me, they've blocked my content, and you kind of felt like giving up? How'd you persevere? Like, what are some examples where you just decided to push through and keep going?
I would say make friends with every creator here that you can. When I got demonetized, I was right on the point where I was like, I think I can go full time with this, and I got demonetized, which I knew at some point was probably going to happen. And because of a friendship that I made at one of these events, the first person that reached out to me when I posted I was demonetized was another creator that wanted to make sure that I was okay, and then was like, hey, financially, are you going to be okay? Like, are you good? He thought I was full time already. So having those friends and that structure and a solid family foundation If you can have that, then you can pretty much push through and make it. But every business is a roadblock, man. There's always a roadblock. There's always hurdles, and you just have to keep driving. Because if you want it bad enough, you're gonna get it. You just got to stay hungry.
Just like anything, there's going to be ups and downs, and having that support system, having my wife being a huge support for me and always being able to help me in those lows, having people in this community beside me and all of you out here is a huge support as well. And what they want the most is you to stop. They don't want you to do this because they want us all to be silent, and they want us all to continue okay, this is too hard. And it is difficult sometimes, but it's absolutely worth it for us and the future, our children, and everything else as well.
We talked a lot about demonetization. You know, that's something that hits us, and that hits us where it hurts most, right? Financially, we need to be able to pay our bills, support our families, everything like that. And when you start to see the line go down, the number go down, that gets really disheartening, especially, you know, I mean, look at the economy right now, right? Is anyone happy with it? No. So we want to be as financially secure as possible. So pushing through that, and like Zach just said, it's having other people who are going through the exact same thing and who have been through the exact same thing that you are, who have families, who have, you know, people to take care of, including themselves. Seeing them is a point of inspiration and also a great resource to ask, hey, what did you do to adapt to this situation?
I was gonna say as well, like, don't allow the payment to run you. Like, don't allow the numbers to run you. You have to figure out what you're gonna post and figure out the schedule and stick to it. Or else, like, once your numbers grow, you're gonna be letting people down who are looking for you. All right. So pick something that you wouldn't mind just propping your phone up and actually keeping people in the loop about what's going on. Because a lot of the time, your audience wants to see your journey. So don't be like me and stall on videos. You got this.
All right, well, I'll add to that as well. So many of you guys may know my channel, I guess 2 years ago, was completely deleted from YouTube. For a number of months, I had very good indication from YouTube that it would never come back. And just like some of these gentlemen said as well, what I did at that time is I reached out to my network of people I knew. And at the time, Steven Crowder, for those of you who know who he is, with the Ladder with Crowder network, Mug Club, all that, they invited me to come on their network. And that's how I was able to continue my channel in that gap period before my channel came back on YouTube. So obviously a significant hurdle, but the network helps you overcome it. You know, it just is what it is. So, all right, thank you. Hey, real quick, I just want to make an announcement for everybody out there. I want to make sure I say it correctly. The Elite panel that was scheduled for 4 p.m. has been moved up now to 3 p.m. So the fireside chat that was scheduled is not going to happen. We're just going to go straight into the Elite panel after this. So go ahead, young lady.
Hi, I'm Hannah, and my question is for Amber. So what advice would you give a young lady like me who's wanting to get more into the Second Amendment and more advocating?
What's your name?
Hannah.
Hi, Hannah.
Hi.
So I think that the 4-H shooting sports program will be a really good start. And then, of course, you have like a Girl in the Gun chapters and Women for Gun Rights chapters who have local representatives that you can speak with who could possibly get you into like competitions and stuff. But I mean, like, if you have enough space in your backyard, you can always start with some BBs just like I did.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
You got one? You got one from the online crowd? Gotta turn your mic on. Gotta turn your mic on.
Yeah, we got one from the chat here. It's a little lighthearted. Y'all are some of our favorite content creators. Who are some of y'all's favorite content creators? People we might not know about.
Go down the line on this one, guys.
I consume about 0 gun content on YouTube. When I do, I'm trying to watch it for my boys to help their analytics. I watch a lot of hot rod content, like how to rebuild my LS, how to do something. That's one of my other passions. So when it comes to gun creators, obviously, you know, Guns and Gear is, you know, classic. Jonathan from Tactical Toolbox, that couldn't be here, one of my best friends. Super helpful. Johnny B. Johnny B can't be here right now, but his channel, the gun drama stuff, was money back in the day. I just loved watching that stuff. So those are the ones that pop into mind. And then TGC, obviously, started the gun news thing. That was super helpful. And then Anthony and Jared, Guns and Gadgets, and, you know, the guys that keep the legal end of it is probably what I pay most attention to now because things are evolving so fast in the political realm right now with guns.
Sweet. For me, a few of the channels that I watch consistently that I have like alerts on, it would be Full Metal Sensei of Honey Bear Tactical. Like I'm a go-to fan of theirs. I would also say anybody that is doing videos on how to fix something, because I break stuff. And when I break it, I'm searching how to fix X, Y, and Z. Outside of that, I don't really watch a lot of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have a pretty short list because, you know, like Mike here, I don't consume a lot of other content, gun content on YouTube. But there are a few channels that I keep track of specifically because I'm a nerd. I'm a history nerd. So CN Arsenal and Barrel and Hatchet are two of my favorite historically firearms frame channels. And then for those of you who are in optics and are curious about optics, C does. He's a relatively small channel, but he has probably some of the most comprehensive, like by the numbers, like tables and everything you could want to prove, like, you know, all the science that's behind it. He's got some great videos on just optics. Those are just a few recommendations.
A couple channels that were big inspiration for my channel when I did was Honest Outlaw and Mr. Guns and Gear.
Yeah, I'm not a big 2A content person, but I do like Princess and the Pistol. Her name's Emily, and then there's Courtney and Gina who do sort of like other 2A content reviews. Gina Gardens, and has a lot of like reviews on the guns that she wins and purchases. So I recently started watching 2A content. I mainly got into this because I didn't see anybody that looked like me. So yeah.
I would say probably just YouTube wide. My favorite channels would be like Peter Santinello, if you don't watch him, real good content. Wrangler Star, he's sort of 2A adjacent, but not 2A focused. And then the sleeper 2A channel that I like is Ben Stoger, or Ben Stager, I don't know how to say it right. His channel is like old school YouTube. There's no editing. He's raw, and he just talks lots of trash about everybody in the industry. I love it.
Ben is the South Park of the gun world. He
That's
takes
accurate.
no prisoners, and he has no sides and no affiliations with anyone.
Accurate. All right, once again, guys, we have plenty of time. If you have questions for the panelists to come up, I believe everyone hit it. We good? Go ahead.
Where are every one of you guys from? Like, what do you deal with throughout the country? Is anybody in California other than Anthony?
I'm from Arizona. So I'm from Arizona. But a lot of us will travel to each other's states and film content together and things like that. And then Jonathan, Tactical Toolbox, he's in Arizona. Aaron from Administrative Results is in Arizona. Nightwood Guns is in Arizona. Arizona's packed right now. So we got a good crew out there to work with.
I see a lot of desert shots.
Oh, yeah. The lizards are strong out there, man. We're on the range.
So hello to my southern neighbor there. I'm from Oregon. Oregon gets a bad rap for being a fairly anti-gun place, and I think that couldn't be further from the truth at the present moment, because right now we have a bunch of bills on the books, or on the docket, that look like they're going to pass. So really for me, the hardest part about doing this stuff in Oregon, living in Oregon as a gun owner, is there's two gigantic cities that want nothing more than to strip me of every single thing that will allow me to defend myself or do my job. And they don't make up that big of a population in the state. So it's, for the most part, everyone's great, but I just have to deal with two very, very, very hot button areas.
Right.
I am from great state of Florida, where Sheriff Grady Judge and DeSantis rule the world. So we don't have much 2A problems in our side of it.
I'm local here. I'm in Ohio. We're fairly firearm friendly. We just got constitutional carry this year, which is a good step in the right direction. So.
And I'm a Georgia girl.
All right. And I'm in North Carolina and Florida. I go back and forth. No issues. Next up. Go ahead.
All right. Before this question is going to be for Gamage, but before we do that, we have to poll the audience. How many people in the audience go to church? How many people go to church? Now, keep your hand up if you think that your church security team is adequate. Yeah? Okay. So my question for you is, what is the most poignant way, since that seems to be your level of expertise, what's the most poignant way that you go into churches and convince them that Jesus wants them to be armed?
I think that's a great question, and I even like the way you phrased it. I would say for any of us who attend a service at any point throughout the week and or have loved ones that attend a house of worship at any time, you want to speak with your pastor or your priest about first aid, first and foremost. In thinking about first aid, then we want to make sure that they're aware of threat prevention. I don't know, I'm not going to get into what denominations, however, most places of worship want people safe. In their theological doctrine or whatever it may be that they practice, it's the manner in which they would decide to place in front of what demands safety. So to your point, or to the question, some would pray and believe that, oh no, we're covered and all is going to be well. And then there are others that know that prayer doesn't deter evil. Evil is evil. And so because evil exists, making sure that you have threat prevention is the verbiage that I would say you utilize. When talking to your parishioners and your leaders and your places of worship, speak about threat prevention and then allow that ball to trickle down from there.
Excellent. Since there's no one in line, I'm just going to keep going. This one's for Mike. In Texas, we just passed a law that requires all schools to have armed SROs at every public school in Texas. And one of the things that I spoke out against on that was that they were hiring a lot of seemingly unvetted military people, because just because someone had military on their resume, they were automatically hiring for them for these SRO positions. And I was against that, and I want to know how you feel about that, because I feel like the rules of engagement in the military are very different than the civilian world, and I want to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, I think there should be an armed SRO at every school. That's what we did where I worked. Unfortunately, sometimes SROs kind of get a bad rap because maybe they weren't the people on the street that were, the meat eaters that went out and went after real bad guys. But there are a lot of really good SROs out there. Typically, they should have an additional training program, and they generally should attend some form of, not a full, but at least a basic level SWAT course, because you are going to be the only person there for probably 5 to 10 minutes engaging targets through a building. Vetting process needs to be one of a high level of certification, not just an I was there or I was in or did something like that. Generally, our SROs had to go through all of those additional trainings. They did rotations with the team, so they had a higher level of building clearing, but ultimately they need to be the person that's going to run direct to threat. There is no more wait for a team. There is no more 2 guys and go. It is, I don't care if you're numero uno and the only guy, you have to be willing to go direct to threat instantly and be willing to take rounds, because that's unfortunately the situation you're going to be in. As far as further vetting, it should probably be internal officers, unless they're coming from a very high-rated private military company or PMC or something like it, where they've been highly vetted and generally have some form of operational background.
All right, thank you. Next up, young man.
How you doing today? What's your favorite non-AR-15 firearm? Simple and easy.
Walther PDP. Walther PDP.
P90 because of Stargate.
All right, come on.
I'm a huge fan of the AUG. That might be an unpopular thing to say because we're not a bullpup country, but I think it's almost perfection.
Ugh. Can I give you 2? 2 pistols? That's cheating? I gotta give 1?
Give it two.
One. It has to be a. What was the question? What was the question?
Non-AR-15 firearm. Favorite
Non-AR.
non-AR-15 firearm.
I just needed a little bit more time to think.
All right.
Non-AR-15. I would go with the ECM Precision P365.
And I'll go with the Tavor TS12.
Nice. Good choice. Good choice.
Thank you.
I'm not jumping on that grenade because I don't have to. Go ahead, sir.
It was great to hear from the NRA earlier in the previous panel. There's an excellent gun club near me that one of the barriers to entry is to be an NRA member. The direction that they're moving might be an easier pill to swallow, but we've been kind of in a position to let them burn to the ground, and we're trying to come around from that. How do we approach these old fuddy gun ranges and get them to welcome the next generation that might be into more sport shooting and steel shooting? How do we make that a more welcoming environment for this generation?
Oh,
Take that one.
Yeah,
I'll go.
the best way to do it, I think, is to have a dedicated group of people at your range who want to do the same thing as you. I used to live in Pennsylvania. I used to go to the York IWA range. They have an amazing steel section, right? But they didn't allow two-gun action challenge matches, right? But I have a buddy who still lives there now. Him and his friend got together and got 5 other people who really, just half a dozen other people who really wanted to do it and just kept going to the meetings, volunteering for things, contributing to the range, showing those guys, that fuddier generation that, hey, this is where the shooting community is going, right? And sure enough, now, it's a standard event at that range. And I think the best way to do it is you have to put yourself in there and just demonstrate to them the value that it has, not just for their range, but for their patrons, right? Like, more people want this. And I think that's the best way to do it. Just show them.
Yeah, there's 2 things that work in every business: head counts and dollar counts. And if you can prove a head count and a bottom line that they're going to make money, that range will change.
Anybody else? All right. I'm being told we have a question coming in from the online audience. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we've got an old friend in the chat, Miss Rapid Fire Rachel. She's
Nice.
Hi to everybody.
Hey, Rachel.
Her question is a good question, a little bit lighthearted one. What would y'all's go-to caliber be for dinosaur hunting, and why? She'll be rating your answers.
I'll go first. 300 blackout.
A dinosaur hunting?
Dinosaur.
Let's see here. 500 Auto Max.
I would take a 105 fired from a Spectre gunship because it's a dinosaur, and I don't want to be anywhere near it.
Gotta go with 50 cal.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to 50 cal it too.
I'm going 20 millimeter finished sniper rifle.
You're after my heart now. 20
All right. So, do you have any more before we move on? Any more? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so this one is a little bit more of the two-way panel style, but what do you think are the next necessary steps towards constitutional carry, generally unrestricted arms purchases in all states, even those other ones?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah. What do you think is are the next necessary steps towards constitutional carry and generally unrestricted arms purchases in all states?
That is going to take everybody that has anything to do with liking guns, running guns, competition, whatever it is, doing the bare minimum, which is calling every politician that has anything to do with your district and calling them and be respectful, but they need to understand that it will go no further. We've done pretty good in a lot of states over the past 10 years getting constitutional carry, rolling things back. But unfortunately, if we don't keep the heat on them and make those phone calls and vote them out, and we have to do it in mass, and you'd be surprised how many people will sit there and complain about the problem and do nothing about it. Not the bare minimum of just making a phone call or writing an email or leaving a comment on that senator or congressman's website. So until we can get massive amounts of people to do that and then back it up with voting people out of office, we're going to be fighting a very uphill battle, and it's going to be up to groups that are fighting our battles in court that we'd all be donating to all these groups that are here that win cases for us, if they had our support, it would be easier. But we can't keep relying on an institution to fight our legal battles. We have to be each person with each senator or elected official in your area and start local. Get with your city council, then the state, and you got to work your way up, because it's a worm pit from the bottom to the top, and the slimier they are, the faster they go up. So if you start locally, you're going to have a far easier time, and then that can grow larger and larger into the federal system.
I would say like normalization is probably our biggest hurdle right now, because a big portion of the country still thinks that guns are scary. And I think it was right there, Ashley. She had said earlier that as a group, as gun owners, we're kind of scary to the rest of the country, right? And I'm fine admitting that guns are terrifying because they can kill you. So I think normalization is probably a big thing. If more people see guns as normal, see them as a regular part of American life, our next step after normalization, or as part of normalization, I think it's something that Kevin's doing a really good job. Gamage, you've got a great program, is outreach. We need to be reaching out to our politicians and our neighbors and the people at our churches, places like that, and offer an olive branch to them to experience what we experience, and from our point of view.
All right.
Thing is not.
Go ahead.
Another thing is not to forget where we've come and how far we've come. Appreciate how far it has come. Look at 10 years ago, even when I started, the difference in the normalization, like you said, is wild. How many more people are okay with wearing body armor or having a gun out and doing that stuff? Like it was not like that before. It was very uncommon before. So seeing the progress we've made, appreciating that, but also keeping up that heat and continuing, so they don't have the ability to bring us back, but keep moving forward.
All right. So with that, we're coming up towards the end of the panel. We won't be taking any more questions, but I appreciate it. I do want to take a moment and thank all the companies that you see behind you. They sponsored this event. They made it happen. Of course, want to thank John. And to close it out, my last question to the panelists is, what is the coolest thing that you've seen here in this room, and what should people make sure they see before they leave? Just go ahead.
Yes, and yes. One of the coolest things I've seen in the room, and for all of my left-handed shooters out there, Next Level Armament has a complete lefty-built AR-15 setup. Well, just receiver, period. And for years of shooting right-handed and having to manipulate things with my opposite, it's great to have, or for me to put my eyes and hands on that this weekend, and I want more of that, so that's mine.
I'm gonna ask a question first of the audience. How many people in here shoot shotguns? How many people here shoot clay pigeons? Okay, so the coolest thing I have seen, it's not new here, but I've had one in my hands for a while. Go to the back corner over there to the Caldwell booth and check out the clay copter. Will revolutionize how you look at clays for the rest of your life. That's all I'm going to say. Go check them out.
I'm going to go off of guns for this one and tell you to try the peanut butter and jelly First Form protein bar. It is life-altering. You will thank me later, and then try the grape energy drink, and your life will be complete.
One of my favorite here today is which is a new release, is the 43X and the 48 from Radian, the War Comp Ramjet, and then the Magwell that they got going on. I think that's really cool.
I think I'm going to have to go for the Savox ear protection. I have a lot of students who come to me of different age ranges with different hearing issues, and I love how clear they are. If you haven't had a chance, you should definitely stop by the booth and see Kyle.
Yeah, I agree. Those are actually excellent. I tried them out last night. So my pick for it would be the Stuff and Things. I don't know the name of it. I should. But what it is it converts a Kel-Tec 5.7 that feeds with a P90 magazine and has AR controls. Depending on how you buy it, it's only $250 or $350. It is awesome. I shot it at the range 2 days ago, yesterday. It all runs together. Regardless, it's fantastic, runs flawless, and for the price is absolutely fantastic. It's the only firearm that I'm aware of at the moment where P90 magazines drop free, which is wild to think of. Anyway, and with that, we are going to close it out. Thank you to all of you in the audience watching here in person, everybody watching at home, and to all of our panelists.